and it was pumping, and just, I was getting really excited, but it was an uncomfortable feeling that I cannot describe. But it was like it affected my breathing rate. It was affecting how my heart, and I began to feel nauseous. I began to feel very sick to my stomach, and it became more intense. And then it was almost like I couldn't hear the growl, but I could still feel it inside of me. And it got terrifying. It was terrifying. That's when I felt like I was frozen, that I could not move. I could not move my legs. I couldn't turn around. I could see Harry beside of me, and he was in the same shape. And as a matter of fact, I noticed, and it must have been me as well, but when I looked at my friend, I could tell that he was slumped in his shoulders and was kind of looking straight down. And so all this is going on, and I could still hear objects and things around me. But if you've ever had what you call tunnel vision, and that's what I felt like I had tunnel vision. Things were sped up around me, but yet I was in slow-mo. I was just in slow motion and could not do anything. That's when I heard something come in on the trail beside of us. The same trail that I had used to walk in from my walk beside the creek. And the creek come up behind our camp. Well, there was something coming. I could hear the steps. To be honest, I felt something coming. It was a feeling that I cannot describe, and it felt like, hey, something is coming. And in the fire glow of the camp, and in the lantern, which was adjacent to us, I could see movement. And I felt something, and I kept looking, and I'm looking, and I'm catching something walking in, and it is bipedal. And I guess the thoughts of, is this beast, is this man? I don't know what that it is. And as it begins to get closer, I see a bipedal canid type wolf-like beast. 2 legs, and it's walking towards me. I can't move. I can't use my legs. I can't use my arms. This intense feeling, I'm almost can't breathe. It has sped my rate of breathing up like I had run a race. And this thing's getting closer to me. And as it gets closer to me, I notice the ears on it are erect, and they're like pointed towards me. And it's staying outside the glow of the fire, but it's getting closer and backing away, coming back, going back and forth, and it's pacing left and right. And then it walks in. And as it walks in, I can see this thing sniffing the air. And it's almost as if it's sniffing me. And I look back now, I wonder if it was trying to sniff fear. And then it grins at me. This thing exposes its teeth. And by this point, it comes in close enough, within 15 to 25 yards, and it exposes itself. And I'm seeing something that should not exist. This thing does not exist on this earth. And is it a man in a costume? Is this a hoax being played? Is it a joke? All these things going through my mind. But you got to also understand what is affecting my body. There's something not right with my body. Can't move, can't do anything, and this thing's getting closer. The only thing I could think of at the time was my religious upbringing. And I'm thinking, whatever this is, it's going to take me out. It's going to eat me or kill me. And I began to pray, and I prayed the shepherd's prayer, David's prayer, the Psalm 23rd. And I began to pray. And when I began to pray, I just felt like I was regaining my mind back, but I could see this thing and it was not moving closer. Now I'm praying in my mind. I'm not praying verbally yet. But this thing's staring at me. I'm staring at it and I'm saying the prayer. And then I began to verbally pray. And I began to pray hard and louder and louder. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not fear. And by God's grace, I felt stronger. The intensity was still there, but I'm like, if it eats me or whatever. But I'm beginning to gain what I felt at the time. I began to feel strength and I began to feel stronger. And I felt, I don't know if it was my hands or my leg that moved first, but I moved. I no longer was like a child that was so afraid to get out of its bed to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. I felt stronger. And at some point, my senses come to me and I moved. And when I moved, my training kicked in and I retrieved my firearm with my right hand. And I had on my possession, it actually was my department issued weapon at the time. And I pulled my firearm and I pointed it at this creature. And when I did, the creature moved backwards. This beast, this demon, whatever I was seeing that should not exist, it moved. And that told me that this animal was intelligent. It was something to the animal. It moved backwards. And I'm standing there and I've got the firearm. You have to understand that we're trained and we know, and I mean, in a millisecond, you've got to make decisions. When you let off a round and it leaves the end of your weapon, you've got to know where that round is going to. You've got to know what your target is. You've got to know, is that a man? Is it an animal? And I was real hesitant to pull that trigger. I still could not. I just couldn't fathom that this was anything but a man because it looked so much like a man. And I couldn't pull the trigger. And I lowered my gun. And when I lowered my gun, this creature advanced on me. The beast come closer and started walking towards me. And I felt at that point, it's a given. It's paid for. It's still approaching me. I'm trained to protect myself. I've got someone behind me I've got to take care of too. All these things are going through my mind. Everything I've described to you has taken me 3 minutes, 5 minutes. This is what a policeman has to make up his mind in milliseconds. I fired twice. I raised my firearm and I discharged 2 rounds, tac-tac, almost sound like one. At the same time I shoot, simultaneously, whether if it was a sympathetic reaction or what, the man behind me, Harry, discharges his double-barrel shotgun. So I fired 2 rounds, he fired 2 rounds, but when I fire my 2 rounds, poof. The creature that was in front of me, I don't know where it went. I heard noises going up the wall, but I didn't see it. It was almost as if this thing just dissipated. Yet I heard noises going up the wall. To this day, I don't know what happened and where it went to. But behind me, when my partner discharges his shotgun and he fires 2 times, I hear a squall. I hear a scream. So behind me, I've turned around at this point. I'm still trying to cover from that angle. I'm hearing something above us again. I'm hearing the screams or squall of something that sounds like a cross between a pig and some hideous animal. We've got a solid cane break that is behind these trees that runs along the creek. And I'm seeing the cane, there's something going crazy in the cane. I also hear my partner running. At this point, he snatched up some stuff that was in the camp and he's left me.
See you, Martin.
See you, Bubba. I'm
Yeah,
believing
Bubba,
you.
yeah.
And so Bubba is gone, man. Bubba, he's left Martin, man.
Wow.
And so, I don't know what to think or do. And it's comical looking back now, but I'm frightened out of my wits' end. The only thing I can think of is, hey, if he's leaving, I need to go with him. And so I've still got my firearm in my hand. And you have to understand, I'm 32 years of age at that time. So I'm running with my firearm. I say I remember, but honestly, I don't. I don't know how I cleared the bumper on the pickup truck. But I was into the back of the pickup truck immediately. Gun still out. Gun in my holster, I don't know. But I felt like I still had my firearm, my handgun. And I get in the back end of this pickup truck. And I hear Harry hit the ignition, and he cranks up this old big Dodge truck. It's very loud. And he cranks it up, and he's trying to get her going. And in fact, he's rocking back and forth. And I've got my hand, and I'm beating on the top of the roof of this thing. Hurry up, saying all kinds of things. And then it hits me that's emergency brake. And I tell him to pop the brake. And he pops the brake. And at the same time, as he starts to move, he cuts his headlamps on. He cuts his headlamps on, and then the realization as to what is taking place. Got creature over here that come in on my backside that came in off the creek and followed me in. That is a werewolf, human looking thing. We got stuff over here in a tree in the cane that possibly has been shot. I got something up on top of the ridge, and then the headlights come on. And when the headlights come on, it's bright enough that 100 to 150 yards out in the middle of this corn patch, where Harry, in fact, had been hunting that day, here's the man in the ghillie suit. But it's not a ghillie suit. And it's not one. There's two creatures. And these things are hideous. And when I tell the story, I don't normally tell the entire story because most people don't want to hear everything. But when I say that these things are not what you depict on TV, and it's not the Patty of California and the Gimlin film, these things were hideous. The headlights hit them. The biggest one is standing on two legs. The second one that was beside the creature, and I can't tell if they were male or female, but the smaller Bigfoot hairy man jumps down on all four. It just sinks to a crawl.
Hold on a second. Bigfoot?
Oh yeah, there's total. I'm sorry. I'm pretty worked up by this point telling the story.
No, it's fine.
These are not. When I describe the other in detail, and I let you know this is a wolf-like creature,
mm-hmm.
A beast or a half man, half something. When the headlights turn on, I've got an 8-foot hairy man, what I call a hairy man or a Bigfoot, that are not canid lupus, werewolf, anything like you've ever seen or is drawn as a dog man. These are Bigfoot.
Wow.
But they are not Bigfoot, man. They are not pretty Bigfoot like you see Patty waving at you as she walks away. These things are hideous, ugly looking. The tallest, the biggest one is staring straight at me, and I'm seeing teeth. And I'm whether if I'm imagining the look on the face or if it's what I saw, it was not friendly. And I got the feeling that this thing that was staring at me, I felt like there was such sheer hatred, and I could feel what this thing was looking at me. He didn't want to share his lunch. He wasn't there to get a banana. Whatever this creature was sheer hatred.